Good morning, everybody. Can you believe it? It is amazing to me that we have managed to arrive at the 30th of July. Where did all of those months go? Where is the summer going? Everything is speeding and speeding so fast, so very, very fast. Ah, yes, and here we are. So good morning. Before we begin properly with our story time today, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle. We've already been chatting, right? I mean, we're saying it for the sake of the show and for the sake of reminding me and all of you out there that yes, he is here right by my side as usual. No idea what I would do without him. And I would also like to say good morning to Chris. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good
Good
morning.
morning, Rosemary.
You know that it's that song, right? Good morning, good morning. It's nice to see you here. Do you know that one?
I've
Good
heard
morning
it.
to you. So, good morning, everybody. Oh, aren't we happy and out there and up and lively this morning? If you'd have seen me when I got out of bed, I was very creaky. Sort of like, ooh, ooh, my back needed to be straightened a little bit. And I sort of, when I first get out of bed, I'm very slightly crooked because my back needs to sort of get time to stretch and so on. Of course, I'm getting older. I'm not sure my grandson would call me old, but yeah, I'm happy to say that I'm an oldie. Here's the thing about age. I don't feel, except first thing in the morning, perhaps. I don't feel like an oldie. I cannot put myself into that category of being an oldie. It's like, but I am. I know I am. But anyway, as long as I'm feeling great, and as long as and we talk about my back and having to straighten my back. Let's be clear about this. I've been doing this since I was 20 something years old. So it's all about the missing kidney and the missing rib and the missing bits and pieces and the bits of plastic that were put in there at one point. And wonder how they're surviving. They must still be there, right? Because plastic doesn't disintegrate. Because you imagine that you've got bits and pieces, and I'm sure that some of you listening also have bits and pieces in your bodies as well, right? So, all right. So, despite all of that, I've managed and I've sort of carried on with my life as if everything's fine. And you know what? It is. Everything is really fine and really good and all of that stuff. So it is Saturday morning. It is story time, and I'm rabbiting on here because I'm giving people time to sort of click on and get to. I know you all need to sort of get into this, click on to the Rosemary mode. And so, in a few minutes' time, I'm going to tell you a story. We're going to talk. I thought this morning I would tell you a story which illustrates how sometimes things are really meant to be. And I know that people find that very hard to sort of to understand. I know that some people find it hard to understand that there's perhaps a plan that we don't know about, and that life is going along and following the plan. I also know that some of you think, well, if there is a plan and things are meant to be, then then aren't we just puppets? Aren't we just dancing a tune, or dancing to somebody else's tune? So we're going to talk about that as well, because I don't think that's true, but I do believe that there are more things that are meant to happen, and there are more things that are planned in our lives than we might care to think that there are. And what do we do about that? I think that I think the only thing we've got any real control over is our attitude. And last night we had a lovely, very, very brave, beautiful, she's a beautiful girl. If any of you saw the bottom break yesterday, Clara came on and she was really good. She's a very pretty girl. And you know, at one point I was saying it's all very well, people come to somebody like me and they want to know what should I do, where should I go, and how will it be, and what is the future for me, which is what we're talking about. Is there a plan? And very often, yes, there is a plan, but you can, even if the plan is not such a good one, even if we got having to go through heartache, pain, and struggle, and so on, if you do the work, if you put in the work, which basically means having the right attitude. There it is. Don't you hate that? The right attitude. You've got to have the right attitude. That doesn't mean you've got to be smiling and positive all the time, because that would be expecting far too much. But if we have the right attitude and with the right determination, and if we can believe in ourselves and believe that, we're good, we're fine, we're doing the best we can do, even struggling through pain and heartache can be, actually at the end of it, can be strengthening and even sometimes joyful, enlightening, and giving us knowledge that we perhaps didn't know before. I don't even know what I'm talking about now. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Chris, are you following any of this?
Oh, quite.
Okay, all right then. So wait. This is my favorite part. Is there anybody there?
There are people here. We had people log on so quick this morning.
Oh,
I
good,
love
good.
to see our regulars in the chat room, and we're hoping anybody who is not, quote, a regular will pop in and tell us where they're from and maybe how they found us.
Yes, don't forget the chat room, everybody, because we rely on the chats. I know you all think that I'm here to entertain you, but I'm not. I'm here to share a little bit of my life and my experience with you. And the story I'm going to tell today is actually because you're all of you always asking me, can you tell us something that happened to you, Rosemary? It's great hearing stories of other people, but what about you? We want some personal stuff about you. And so I'm going to, from time to time, be telling you stuff about me, which this morning I'm going to tell you a story which illustrates, absolutely illustrates. There's so many stories. Where do I begin? But I'm going to tell you a story that illustrates that there are certain things that are absolutely meant to happen, regardless of what you think is going to happen, and regardless of how much you might be fooled by thinking that you're going to get one outcome, and then another one happens because it's meant to be. I wonder who decides these things. I mean, is there somebody up there pulling the strings? Do we decide these things prior to our coming here to this earth plane? Um, I think we do decide the bigger things. We decide what it is we might want to learn and how we might want to grow and so on. But the story I'm going to tell you today, it's such a it's so insignificant. It's such an insignificant situation. It taught me something. It taught me that things are meant to be. It taught me that there are certain things, no matter how much you try to work around them, will are meant to be. But in the instance of this story, without telling you too much right now, but in the instance of this story, um, I mean, it wasn't an earth shattering or even loudly shattering situation. It was just simply, okay, this is what's going to happen. You watch, you listen, you wait. Oh, you must be wrong. It No, you got it wrong. That isn't what's happening at all. And then, oh, wait a minute, I didn't expect that. And then the thing you thought was going to happen happens. I know I'm being very cryptic, aren't I? Going around and around here. Let's hear from some people in the chat room for a little bit, and then I'll begin my story, Chris.
Absolutely. Annika says, I think we have sort of a plan we have chosen before we come into this early life.
Well, I agree, actually. I mean, I agree, but I think the plan that we have perhaps is, you know, that we will experience things that teach us, that help us to learn, that help us to grow. But very often, the plan that we're following it's sort of, you think it's really such insignificant little details that aren't going to give you any learning, any growth, anything like that. They are so the details are so insignificant, and the things that we have to go through or that we do go through can be so insignificant. I mean, can we honestly say that tomorrow I'm going to have cereal for my breakfast? Uh, if I don't know, how can someone in the spirit world know? And I'm talking about things that are that insignificant. And who cares what I have for breakfast tomorrow? But someone somewhere obviously knows before I do whether I'm going to have eggs or toast or cereal or whatever. And why? And why would it be important? And why should those small, insignificant little details matter to any of us? Curiouser and curiouser. Okay. Anyone else, Chris, before we start the story?
Cheryl says, I would hope we pick our parents the time/day/month/year.
I'm not sure that we do it, but somebody does it, that's for sure. Anything else, Chris?
Yeah, but I think they can wait until after you tell your story.
No, I want another one. Get on with it. Come on, give me something
Well,
else.
no, well, there's a question, Rosemary.
Go ahead.
Um, all right, let me scroll back up. This is from Naomi. Naomi says, my father passed back in March. My brother said he has been feeling that my dad is stuck here on the earth side, afraid to cross over. Is there any insight you could share? Thank you for being live, Rosemary.
You're very welcome, Naomi, and I can absolutely tell you with certainty, Gregor has put his hand on my shoulder here. I do not feel at all, from what Gregor tells me, that your father is stuck. I think it's your brother is having fears on behalf of your father. He probably just wants, your father to have a wonderful transition, and I think he fears that there has been a struggle. I think the fears are your brother's fears. I think your father is, in fact, I know from what Gregor tells me, I think he's safe and has made it over, and probably just wants you to know that. Okay? All right. Let's go with story time, shall we? Okay. Are we ready? Are you sitting comfortably, as they would say to little children on story time on the radio when I was a little girl? Are you sitting comfortably? And we'll begin. Okay, so once upon a time. Oh, we're going back quite a long time now. And the story that I'm going to tell you is definitely a lesson. It was definitely a lesson for me, but so inconsequential, really, in the large scheme of things, that it does make me wonder how much is planned for us. So here I was. My daughter was at the time around 15 years old, probably 15, 16 years old. She just started college. And I wanted to sell the house that I'd been in for, if she was 15, 16. So I'd been in that house for 14 years, and I decided that I wanted to sell it and move. So I put it up for sale. Now, in those days when I was selling this property, it was what we call a buyer's market. In other words, you could ask anything you wanted for your house, and somebody would pay for it. It was that great a market for a buyer, and good for me too. And what very often used to happen is because if a house was different, unusual, mine was. It was not on a housing estate. It was by itself. It had a lot of land with it, and of course I decorated it, which makes it really. It was nice inside and so on. Really lovely house. And what would often happen is people would bid on a house if they really wanted it that much. Then the buyer would bid on the house. So, did I say it was a buyer's market? I really meant it was a seller's market, didn't I? It was a seller's market, though, so the seller could ask what they wanted. So here we are, and my real estate agent had at least three offers, all pretty much at the same time. So what we did was, or what he did, the estate agent did was, he finally boiled it down. Now we have two buyers, both are very keen, both want the house, and each was advised that they had to write the figure that they wanted to pay for the house, and it would be over and above the asking price, and they had to write a figure down and send it into the real estate agent, and whoever bid the highest was the one who got the house. So okay, so here we are, and the two bids came in, and as we're waiting for them, as I'm waiting for them, you know what I'm going to say to you, don't you? You know, obviously, if you know me well, you know that I'm going to say to Greg, "Well, so which one is it then? Who's going to get the house?" And I'm going to tell you, for the sake of the story, that let's call one Mr. Smith and the other one's Mr. Jones.
All right, everybody. We're going to let Rosemary log right back in. So give me 1 second.
What's happening here?
Here we go. You froze, Rosemary. The internet froze. So you were ending with Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones.
So you're very tinny now. So our internet, despite the upgrades that we had this last week, is not working well. But anyway, so let me just say again. So Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones put in their bids, and Gregor said to me, I asked Gregor, so which one's going to get it then? Of course, I'm going to ask him. I'm curious about it. And he said, "Oh, Mr. Jones." So I said, "Okay then." So the 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 realtor called me later, and he said, "Oh, Mr. Smith uh, was the highest bidder. He got the house." So I'm thinking, oh, did I? Maybe I misunderstood Gregor. Maybe I got it wrong. And I, of course, went back to Gregor and said, "Oh, Mr. Smith's got the highest bid." And he said, "Mr. Jones will buy the house." And okay, and I'm thinking this is really odd. Anyway, a few weeks went by, and everything was going according to plan. The contracts were drawn up. With the date of our moving out, everything was going to plan, and consequently, I'd put a bid on another house that I wanted. So everything was moving very, very smoothly. And I think it was the day before we were due to sign the contracts. You know what I'm going to say to you, don't you? The day before we're due to sign the contracts, uh, all of a sudden, Mr. Smith had some sort of family emergency and had to pull out. Now, in the meantime, a few weeks have gone by, and Mr. Jones is off and doing his thing, and buying, I guess, looking for a house. Uh, and so I, I was actually standing in the house that I was buying and talking to the real estate person and smiling and saying, "Okay, thank you," because I didn't want to let my buyers think there was any problem. And I got home and called the real estate person, who said, "We're going to have to just put it on the market again, but don't worry about it. It's because houses are selling, so on and so forth." Anyway, I arrived home and talked to my daughter. She was really upset because she was really looking forward to moving. What are we going to do now, Mummy? Was the thing. And about 2 hours went by, and the phone rang. And are you going to guess? Are you going to guess who it was? It's easy. I'm leading you through this story, right? Hello, said the man on the other end of the phone. I said hello. He said, "Oh, this is Mr. Jones." He said, "I'm about to sign a contract on a house in the village, but it's on a housing estate, and I really, really wanted your house. And before I signed the contract, I'm just checking to see did the house go through or not." And I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, no. The house, we're putting the house back on the market." He said, "I'll take it." So I said, "Oh, okay." He said, "But I'm going to take it at the price that I offered for it, not the price that the other guy offered for it." And I said, "No, you'll either pay the price that Mr. Smith was going to pay, or we're going to put it back on the market. It's that simple, really. And you don't need to be having this conversation with me. You need to be having this conversation with the real estate agent." And sure enough, Mr. Jones bought the house. And Mr. Jones moved into the house, and as far as I know, Mr. and Mrs. Jones were happy thereafter. How would Grey Eagle know that? Of course, when the phone rang, you can imagine Grey Eagle having a little chuckle to himself, can't you? When I'd been told Mr. Smith has pulled out, uh, Grey Eagle was chuckling. Mr. Jones is going to buy the house. So when I'd got home and was reassuring my daughter, I said, "I think, maybe tomorrow we might want to call Mr. Jones and see if he's interested in the house again." Little knowing that Mr. Jones was actually going to call me. And everything, I mean, everything was so, well, in the big scheme of things, why, in fact, would Grey Eagle know who's going to buy the house? In the bigger scheme of things, what does it matter who buys the house? Uh, but apparently it does. And what I learned from that, and have always, since that time, which is a long time ago, uh, have always followed this truth, because I do feel that it is a truth. If something is meant to be yours, it will be yours. If it's meant to be yours. I always believe when I have friends who are looking for houses, I'll say to them, "You will find the house that has your name on it." Well, how will we know that it's got our name on it? Well, you'll know when you move in. And if you don't move in, then it doesn't have your name on it. And I know it sounds crazy to say that, but I do believe that if a house has your name on it, then it will be yours. If an investment is meant to be, then you will invest and make the right decisions. I think that so often we are guided and we are steered, but we never think that we're guided and steered in the small things. I mean, who cares who bought a house, and who cares, the fact that, I mean, years later, it doesn't matter, does it? Or does it? Does it matter? Or doesn't it matter? It sort of brings out a whole slew of questions. It makes us think, well, if that was planned, if Mr. Jones' name was on Rosemary's house as the next buyer for that house, if that was the case, and it obviously was the case, if that's the case, then what else? What else is meant to be? And there are so many things that are meant to be. There are so many things that are meant to happen. We walk down the street, uh, turn a corner just on the off chance, thinking, "I wonder what's down here." We might never have been down there before, ever. We walk, "No, I wonder what's down here," and bingo, we bump into that one friend we haven't seen in 20 years or something, or we come across something that happens, which, yeah, because we turned down that street, yes, it was meant to be. It was meant to happen. Life, I think, is full of things that were meant to happen. If you are a person who is worrying because you can't sell your house, don't worry. If you're meant to sell your house, that right buyer is coming along. You won't know, but it will happen. It is meant to be. When I talk to people about their future or what, their possibilities and opportunities for the future, I always like to give choices. So, for instance, somebody might say to me, I'm looking for a new job, or I'm looking for a new area to live in. I will give them choices, and I will say, well, if you go here and you take this job, this, and this will occur. Here are your opportunities here. And if you take that job, this, and this will occur. Um, Even as I'm saying it, I very often absolutely know which way they're going because Gregor tells me, oh no, they're not going that way, they're going that way. And but I try as much as possible to say to a person, I'm not the decision maker. You're the decision maker. You're the one who makes the decisions, and I can help you. I can tell you a little bit about what will happen if you take a left turn, and I can tell you a little bit about what will happen if you take a right turn. And It's sometimes really hard for me because I so want to say to somebody, no, don't go that way. Um, we do have a free will, and very often the choices that we make are not preordained, they are our free will. But I think we would be amazed, absolutely amazed, to realize how very, very little choice we actually do have about the decisions that we make. What we do have a choice in is our attitude as we're making those choices, our attitude once we've made those choices, our attitude to life, and our attitude to uh, all around us. Um, you can be in a devastating situation. I've been in them. You've been in them, every one of you. I know people who've been in them, and I see people who are devastated and appalled and so on. I think we had somebody on Thursday who went on and on about the state of the world and how awful and terrible, and the wars and the this and the COVID and the so on and so forth. And I had to put my hands up and say, "Stop! You got to stop." Because even though this world of ours can be difficult and painful and in turmoil or what have you, it's been the same since forever. It's been the same since human beings have walked this planet. It's been the same. The, the issues are different, the problems are different, but the turmoils have come and they've gone, and they've come and they've gone, and we're still here and we survived them. And I think that rather than looking at the negative, and we do have to be realistic and look at the negative and make sure that we are prepared, or make sure that we, for instance, in COVID, we don't do anything stupid or go anywhere we're going to put ourselves at risk and so on. But I do think it's so important we have to look at the positives, and we have to look at the wonders and the joys. I've just been talking to my daughter and my grandson. They're in a taxi on the way to the airport, and oh, I so wish that I could be with them, and I could spend the rest of the day moaning and complaining of, no, I'm not with them, and poor me, and I'm missing out, and so on. Or I could find joy in the fact that they're giggling and they're laughing and they're looking forward to their journey. And Apache's with them, and he's going on the plane, and he's getting a little bit too big for the bag that they've got for him to put him in, and on it goes. I prefer to have a positive attitude. So if you are struggling and you can't sell your house, or you can't find where you need to live, trust me, be patient, understand things are meant to be, and understand if you're looking for a house, your name is already on it. You just have to be very patient. Yes, and wait for it to happen, because it will. I think that's the end of my story. So the end. There you go, Chris. How do you like that story?
Very close to home, Rosemary.
Yes. Well, that's why I'm telling the story. It reminded me.
So Lorraine is in the chat room and saying,
Hi,
when
Lorraine.
we when we relocated from Long Island, New York to North Carolina, we bought a house and also had a seller's market scenario. There was a bidding war for our 55-year house. Imagine, my girlfriend dreamt of this house, and it turned out to look exactly like her dream. We had to get a bridge loan since the buyer was having delays getting a mortgage. Very stressful. I just asked God that if this was meant to be, to please let it be. And if not, put blockers up so we cannot.
That's right.
So it all worked out to everyone's liking.
Well, you see, there's another example of if the house has your name in it. Just think about this: if the house has your name on it, if the job has your name on it, if the baby has your name on it, on and on it can go. And I do believe that there are situations where we find our name is on it and we're going to get it no matter what happens or what we think is going to happen, no matter where we feel we're being led. If your name is on it, it's yours. Chris?
Judith said, Rosemary, my nephew David's estate will go on the market soon. I have no doubt everyone will want it. Can I help facilitate the sale spiritually, or is it already planned?
I think it's already planned, but there's no harm in putting good energy out there either. I think someone's name is already on it, and it's. I'm told it's beautiful, but don't worry. Just put out that good energy anyway. Why wouldn't you? For things to go smoothly, for things to go happily, and for things to go joyfully.
All right, so I think we can let people in the chat room know that we're now ready for questions in the chat room.
Okay.
Because I don't have any questions or comments at the moment.
In that case, let's have an early Saturday and do something fun, Chris. What shall we do? Shall we go to the beach? What shall we do? Come on, everybody. I'm not here to entertain you, although I know that I do, and I entertain myself as well. But I want you to entertain me also. I want to hear your chats. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to, this is an interactive show, and that's how all of my shows are. So if you've got something to tell me or something to share with me, now is the time to do it. Otherwise, let me think. Apparently, Chris, while people are getting their fingers on their keypads to writing questions, uh, what did you say to me this morning? Um, you thought about yesterday and what a busy day I had. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit? You don't have to go into details, but
Well, I mean,
apparently,
not only do you have your, scheduled consultations, let's put it that way, you have a wide breadth of uh, not only friends, but, just people that you know casually, et cetera, et cetera. And I was amazed yesterday at how not only did you do your bottom brick show, but you helped 2 or 3 people on a dime with very different, um, challenges.
what do you mean on a dime? You mean
Like, you
like
turn on a dime.
spontaneously?
Yeah, you were in the midst of something really deep and painful with one person, and then suddenly a call comes in, and that other person has another very big, deep concern, and you quickly end that call having satisfied them, and then you move on to the next thing, and then that one gets done, and you move on to the next thing, and then that one gets done, and you immediately roll into your show. Or like I think you said you're going to be painting the stucco today. Like you just roll on a dime with so many things.
Yes, but isn't that's fun and that's me. It seems as if, very often I'll think, oh, I've got a whole day today to myself and I can read all day long and nobody will disturb me or interrupt me. And that's a joke because because living here with me, you see, somebody will call or somebody will want something or somebody will, need, need to be paid a particular attention and so on. And but that's my life. And wouldn't it be awfully lonely and awfully sad for me if nobody called because they all thought, oh, I can't call Rosemary because she's always far too busy. Uh, when I was in Vermont, I will tell. Here's another little story. You better be having your fingers on those keys, everybody, because this is the last I'm saying. And if I don't get questions or interaction or thoughts from you guys, we're quitting early. I can tell you now. But I can remember being in Vermont, and I was sort of up in my high, lofty place. Literally, I was halfway up a mountain. My house was halfway up a mountain. I had lots of students, I had lots of people who knew me. And I would say from time to time, I'm available if anybody wants to go out to the movies or if anybody wants to, meet for coffee or something. And every weekend without fail, I was by myself. I mean, then I'd remind people I'm here, just I'm happy to go out and so on. I know you're all thinking, give me the chance, right? But then people would say, yes, but I don't call you because I always think you're too busy, which is a really lousy excuse, let me tell you. It is. Because they know I'm not busy because I've told them 20 times already. Uh, I think that people are maybe a little, I don't know what it is, a little bit nervous, or they think that I'm going to refuse them or something. But um, I in Vermont, I think I'm going to say that Vermont was for me one of the loneliest times that I lived because either everybody was I'm going to get into big trouble here. Everybody was either too snooty and didn't want to know, or they were too busy with their own lives and or made the excuse that you know I don't like to call you because you're always too busy and all of that. But yeah, so in England, it doesn't matter how busy you are. If you need something and somebody can help you, call them up. That's what you do. Um, I had a friend yesterday, and she's one of my greatest friends. She's a wonderful, wonderful girl. And she called, and apparently I was out for dinner, so she was not able to get a hold of me, but she sent me a text. I'm sorry to call so late. I just needed to talk to, and yes, all right. So it's late at night, and it's even later for her. It's like 3 in the morning for her, but I called her just the same. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you be available to people who need help and who just because I've been in their shoes. Been sitting there by myself, wishing that I could have someone close to me I could talk to or run things by. And it's not a nice place to be when you're on your own and things are happening to you, and it seems as if the world is collapsing around your ears. So yes, I do keep myself busy, and I'm going to have a go at painting that wall today. It's much easier than it sounds, I promise you. A tray, a roller, a bit of paint, whiz, 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 bingo, and it's done. I hope. Right, Chris. All right. Do we have anybody in the chat room?
Oh, we have a lot of people in the chat room. Just who's brave enough to ask the question. But Gary piped in. He said,
Oh,
yes, Rosemary can turn on a dime, and I'm looking forward to August 27th. So it might be a good time just to mention literally a month from today.
Gary, are you coming? Are you coming? Yeah. Super. I'm so looking forward to seeing you. Yes. Oh gosh. Well, I can still say next month because we've got one more day in July, haven't we? So on August the 27th, yes, it's creeping up. If you want tickets, you need to call and get them because it's going to be a small event. So August the 27th, and I think Chris just put the link up in Connecticut. And I'm told that it's less than a 45-minute drive from New York City to Connecticut. Anyway, so I'm going to be there on Friday night. I don't know, Gary, when you're arriving, but let me know. Um, 10 a.m. on Saturday morning for 3 hours. You've got me for 3 whole hours. It'll go very, very fast. We're going to be talking about how we can become more in tune. I'm going to show you 1 2 exercises to get you to get you more in tune, to help you to raise your level of consciousness to the point where you can be attuned to that your higher self, your own spirit. How do you hear the heartbeat of your own soul? We might even talk about that a little bit, but also throughout the morning. And who knows, they may take over completely and are not teach you anything at all. We'll just be giving message after message. You never know. You can never plan these things, you know. What is meant to be is meant to be. I think that's what I'm trying to say there. But I will be giving messages also from the spirit world. So I'm really looking forward to that. So please join me. Please, all of you out there who do you want a hug from me? I'll give you a hug. Oh, wait. Do you want me to hold your hand? I'll hold your hand. Uh, do you want to have fun with me for 3 hours? Of course you do. So the 27th of August, Saturday morning, yay, we'll be there. And we hope you'll be there too. All right.
All right. So Lorraine is saying, I watched The Bottom Bricker last night. You were amazing, and Clara was so sweet. I can relate to not wanting to rock the boat due to my upbringing. It's
Yeah.
hard and scary to express what needs to be said to put someone in their place, worried of repercussions. I am much better now at age 70. Geez, not being a doormat like you had said.
Well, I think it's wonderful that at whatever age you learn that you're not happy being a doormat, you got to do something about it, whatever age it is. Even if you're as old as 70. I mean, can you imagine being that old? Anyway, I am so happy for you that you found your voice. I do think that people think, that it's sort of like they tend to think that saying what they're feeling means being aggressive, being forceful, and it is so not that at all. And I think that if, especially with Clara, with her husband, with her work colleagues, in every way of life, she needs to find a way to communicate, which is firm but non-aggressive. You don't have to be an aggressive person to say what you're thinking and what you're feeling. You don't have to be aggressive if you want people to listen. You just say, "Hey, excuse me, please don't speak to me that way, and please listen to what I'm saying to you. I need to have you listen to me, and I will try to listen to you." It's called communicating, isn't it? And I think that so many bad things happen to all of us simply because of miscommunication. And I think talking things through and finding time with your loved ones, your kids, your spouse, whoever it is, finding time with your loved ones to simply sit down and have a 15-minute chat every day. Just, this is how I'm feeling and how are you feeling? And it makes all the difference in the world. It's called communication. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Clara knows that. And good for you, my darling, that you're doing it. Good for you. Chris.
All right, this is from Lisa. Lisa says, so when I was attacked by a client at work in 2020, was it meant to be? I have struggled with why me. I have left my job as manager. I stay away from situations that may leave me in a vulnerable position, like live concerts and such. I jump when people suddenly appear. I was strangled from behind. I feel like I am broken. I want to move on. I'm 57. It has been rough trying to adjust my life to just get over it.
Okay, I don't want you to try. What's this lady's
Lisa.
name? Lisa. Lisa. I don't want you to try to get over it because you won't. Um, I totally understand uh, the fear that you must feel and the anxiety that you must feel. Um, I think that this is could be an amazing, amazing experience for you. Because look at you, you're talking to us, you're telling us what happened, which means that you are strong enough. You're much stronger than you think you are. And I think that this experience could be an amazing experience for you if you turn it around. I don't want you to try to get over it. I'd like you to learn that this happened to you, and look what has happened to you since. Are you going to be a mouse or a lion? Um, I know that you feel like you're a mouse at the moment and you're avoiding situations, but I feel that when you need to, you can be a lion. And I feel very strongly that you've got the heart of a lion. You are sensitive. Good for you. The most sensitive people are the nicest people. Unfortunately, we have to go through all the traumas and difficulties and so on of sensitive people, but I feel, my darling, that you are so much stronger than you think you are. I understand why you would leave that job and leave that position, and I do understand also why you're thinking that you shouldn't perhaps put yourself into situations where you feel vulnerable. But I would love it if you could take this situation. You're not going to get over it. Stop trying. You won't forget about it. But I want you to look at what happened and look, if you can, at the positive things. It was scary. It You must have been terrified, but you survived. It must have made you so fearful and nervous, but you still are surviving. And every single day you are surviving. And every day as you survive, you get stronger and stronger. And hopefully, at some point in the future, you're going to get to be strong enough so that you'll dare to go out again, that you'll dare to be in those places, that you will dare to be brave again because you are strong enough. Vulnerability is so scary, but in some ways it's such a good thing. You have learned through this experience empathy for others. You know how others feel who have been attacked or have been put in vulnerable situations. I think you are just the person to be able to help those people. When we've had these experiences of our own, and then we get through them, that's when we can help other people who have gone through similar experiences, and they just need someone to listen. And I think you are a person who can listen to others. You can empathize with others as well as sympathize with them, and you are way, way stronger than you ever think you are right now. And I want you to learn. Don't try to get over it. Learn to use it. What did you learn from it? Well, first of all, you have learned how much stronger you thought you are than you ever thought you would be. Because here you are talking to me about this. Here you are sharing your story with others. That takes strength. That takes courage. That takes bravery. Good for you. And I want to know from you, I'd like to know from you how you feel about what I've just said to you. And I want you to know that we get it. I want to know how much braver you can be, Miss Lionheart, because I think that's what you are. You are a Lionheart. Chris.
All right, there are a number of people in the chat room. Once you mentioned your event in Connecticut in August, who
Yes.
said, "I wish I could come. Maybe I could come."
Okay.
Maybe you can explain the difference between, a dream, a wish, a hope, and actually doing something.
I'm not sure that I can do that, but uh, I think it's important for us to realize, and I said this when we did the bottom brick exercise yesterday, I think it's very important that people understand it's all very well listening to what I tell you, and Miss Lionheart, I know you're listening to me. It's all very well listening and perhaps even being inspired a little bit and feeling good instead of feeling awful. I know we did the bottom brick yesterday, and Clara can, she knows now what she needs to do. Okay, and you, Miss Lionheart, you know what you can do if you're brave enough. You know what you can do, but there comes a point that no matter what anybody else says to you, no matter how many people hold your hand and help you through a difficult situation, there comes a point in everyone's lives where we take an action. And so I, I understand you saying I wish and if only I could and so on. But is there anything really stopping you? Some of you will say, oh yes, well I can't afford the flight or I live too far away or so on. But I also know that if you want something badly enough, not that I'm suggesting that you should want to see me that badly. I'm not suggesting that. We're not going to that place. Um, but if you want something badly enough and you want to do something badly enough, then you will find a way to do it. Uh, and if you don't find a way to do it, it's because you don't want it that badly or you don't need it that badly. Um, I know there are people who are listening. Well, I couldn't possibly. I've got 6 kids to deal with, and and a husband to feed, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I get it. But if you wanted to do it badly enough, you'd pile them all into the car and you'd get there. I'm just saying that we have to, if we want to change our lives, and this is not about the Connecticut thing, it's not about Can We See Me? If we want to change our lives, and if we want to change our lives badly enough, we have to take an action. And that action leads to the next action. And that action makes us brave enough to take the next action. Or sit at home and be afraid. Your choice. Your choice in attitude. Your choice. Am I going to do it or I'm not going to do it? I can do it, but do I want to do it? So, we all have wishes and hopes and dreams. Those of us who take action, and I'm a big action taker. And it's easy for me to sit here and say to all of you, you need to take an action because I'm an action taker. So maybe it comes more naturally to me than it does to you. I don't know. But all I know is this: when you take action and you take control of your life and you make decisions and you get on a bus and go and see that superstar movie star that you've always wanted to see, or when you I've always wanted to make a cake. Well, go ahead and make it then. Nobody else is going to do it for you. You make it if that's what you want to do. You do it. Um, we all have to take actions from time to time. And if we don't take action, then we don't get anywhere. We sit on our butt and twiddle our thumbs and we're lonely. Moving on, Chris. What else have you
Karen
got?
Karen is on. She's saying she's excited to hear you are doing live events. Do you plan on doing any here in Florida?
Oh, well, of course, I'm here. That would be fantastic. Well, where are you, Karen, and what are you doing? And how about you could email Chris and fix something up, get something going? I if you're willing to organize, or if you know of someone who's willing to organize event, as long as it's feasible and viable, and as long as you're not expecting me to pay a fortune for my own travel and all the rest of it, I'm not going to do that. But let's organise some events. I'm here in Florida. It's got to be so much easier to do it here in Florida. And I'll bet you, all of you who are saying, "Oh, I wish I could go to Connecticut," the idea of going to Florida, maybe having a weekend on the beach in the sunshine. How about that? How about that, Karen? Come on, if you're willing to help us organise. Chris is raring. I can tell you now, right, Chris? You're raring to go.
Well, it's just such a privilege to witness so many people getting healing messages. I mean, it's phenomenal to watch, even if you are not the person getting the message, to watch somebody else get it. It's transformational.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
I think I do think maybe I'm putting myself out there a little bit in doing this, but I think that the messages that are given from the spirit world with Greg and myself are usually pretty amazing, detailed and clear, and just and real, and they're real. Yeah, I'll say that.
Well, we can pretty much say this to anyone who ever sees this live of video off of YouTube at some point in the future. If you have a community that would like to see Rosemary, contact the office. We can talk about it and see if we can get Rosemary out there to do a live. It's pretty simple.
Very easy.
If you want
Yes.
it bad enough, you
Yeah,
will
there
make it
you are.
happen.
Take an action, everybody. Take an action. How about that? Okay.
All right, so we have 5 minutes left.
Did we hear back from our Lionheart yet?
Not yet. So I'm going to go back up. I think it was from Annika when you said, hey, come with questions. So Annika mentioned, I like to read books with people's experiences of heaven in them. I guess it's also because I have no conscious recollection of heaven. So she's reading a new book this week about that. What are your thoughts about people who have experiences of heaven and the books that they write?
Well, I can't really give my thoughts because, like everything else, I'm sure some are real and some aren't. Some are good and some are not. Unless I've read something myself, I can't give you my opinion on what other people write. Um, yes, you know what? Next Saturday, I'm going to tell you the story of a client of mine who went to heaven. Can you write that down, Chris?
I am.
And I will tell you what she encountered. I will tell you what her thoughts and feelings were. And I saw her. She had this encounter when she was a little girl. That's all I'm going to tell you for now. She was very sick and had apparently had died, and then came back to life. Yeah, are you already curious about this story? Very fascinating story, actually. And I saw her when she was probably in her mid to late 40s. So I'll tell you that story next week. So if you want to know a little bit about heaven and someone's experience of heaven, I can give you that story. Um, I'm not going to say that she describes heaven, but what she did describe was quite amazing to me. We're going to leave it at that. Are there any other questions, any other comments, Chris?
Well, we are hearing from Miss Lionheart, Lisa.
Hi.
So she said, I found you. You are a great addition to my healing. You are so positive and bring that positivity into everything you put out there. Thank you. You give me the confidence to move on. And with God's strength, I know I can move on. I guess it's mine to accept and embrace it and move on, not just get over it. So thank you.
Yes. Yes. Embracing it and using it. And, you know, don't discount yourself. Yes, of course, God will help you. Yes, of course, other people will help you, will inspire you. But don't discount your own courage and don't discount your own strength, my darling, because you've got more than enough to embrace, to combat your fears, and to be such a great help, I think, in the future for other people who've had these experiences. That's what I think. All right, Chris, I think we're done. So, right? So,
Yes.
hello? Yes. So, all right. So, thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you didn't see the bottom brick yesterday, you can find it on the YouTube channel or go to my website, rosemaryaltea.com, and you can find all the links there. You can see some of the bottom brick exercises there. They are amazing to watch. We are coming into August, and we're going to be planning. What are we going to be planning? We're going to be planning a cracking up. We're going to be planning all sorts of things for August. although August will be a slow month, I just want to tell you, because I shall be in New York and in Connecticut. Yes, that's right. And so I'm going to spend the second half of the summer, as I call it, with my darling boy and my darling girl, and aren't I lucky? See, life is beautiful. And so I'm going to spend it with them, and we're going to have a blast. My daughter was saying yesterday, she was laughing. She did a barbecue. She had a few friends around, and she did a barbecue. And I said, how was it? Did you have a good time? Well, and I had to do this, and it was so busy, and I was in and out, and I had to cook this, and I had to cook that. And I'm saying, okay, well, I'll be there soon. And she knows if I'm going to do, I'm going to do all the cooking. I'm certainly going to be making all the drinks, and she can just sit down and enjoy herself. So that's what we'll be doing in August. And we may even invite you to a barbecue party. You just never know what we can do. All right, my darling. So until I see you again, we should be definitely back on Thursday morning with with the Spirit World Sees All. And I've already got my story planned for next week. You'll like it. I promise you'll like it. And what else? Yes, we might be doing it. Don't you think it's about time we did an off the cuff, Chris? I really think we should be doing an off the cuff at some point.
Well, if you weren't so busy, you would actually have time to do some of those things.
No. So we're thinking about that. So thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you for your input. We've loved it being with you once again. Thanks to Chris for doing such a great job. And last but by no means least, of course, thanks to my lovely grey eagle who is chuckling in my ear. We're going to go and do that, paint that wall now, I think. Anyway, change out of this though. Until I see you again, everybody, please, please, please have a very, very blessed rest of the day and have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Bye bye.